If you want your business to stand out in 2026, then you need to think about becoming certified to industry recognized standards. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about two of the most popular information security standards that will make your business stand out, meaning that you'll be able to win more work. Now, as we all know, cybersecurity incidents are increasing at an exponential rate. Therefore, businesses are now in a position where they need to demonstrate to their customers, they need to demonstrate to their suppliers, they need to demonstrate to the industry in general that they take information security seriously. And one of the best ways of doing that is to become certified to some kind of an industry recognized security standard. Now, I want to talk to you about two of the most popular ones because there's a world of them out there. However, two, especially in the UK, are the most recognised, and because they're recognised, they will hold a lot of weight. If you wanted to become certified to Cyber Essentials Basic, it's something that you can effectively do yourself. So you could go onto the IASME website. So IASME are the organisation that actually administer and run the Cyber Essentials scheme. So you could go on that website and you could complete a questionnaire that asks questions around the type of infrastructure that you have, the type of devices that you have, the operating systems that those particular devices are on. So you could complete that questionnaire yourself, which is then marked by a Cyber Essentials assessor. Plus is a little bit different. So the requirements are the same. However, the difference is that someone's actually installing pieces of software on a sample set of devices, for example, which means that someone's actually checking this stuff. Like someone's actually checking that the devices are on the operating system versions that you say they are. Someone's actually checking that, for example, multi-factor authentication is on, things like that. However, in terms of the actual requirements, they are exactly the same. So if you're on a tight budget, for example, however, still want to go through some kind of certification process, then I highly recommend Cyber Essentials as definitely a good starting point to your compliance journey. Now, the second standard that I want to talk to you about is ISO 27001. Now, ISO 27001 for me is perhaps the most globally recognized information security standard, which therefore means that if you're working with customers, say like in America, if you're working with customers in Europe, for example, ISO 27001 is something that's widely recognized. And as you can guess, because of that, it's commonly significantly more expensive than Cyber Essentials. Usually, organizations that are going through the ISO process for the first time would employ consultants like me, for example, to come in to help them actually build the documentation set that they need for ISO 27001 and actually embed these processes in their business. And the reason why a lot of companies get a consultant is because the actual process of becoming certified to ISO 27001 is far more onerous compared to Cyber Essentials. So what companies have to do is that they initially have to go through a stage one audit process, which essentially means that an external auditor would come in and almost carry out a light touch assessment on your documentation set to make sure that you're meeting the baseline requirements of the ISO standard. Once you pass that stage, you then go through a stage two process, which is typically much longer. It also involves perhaps getting operational evidence, speaking to people, etc. And the auditors would then come in, get the evidence that they need, and then they would recommend as to whether they feel that your company should become certified to ISO 27001. Now, once that recommendation is made, it's then up to the certification body, who are essentially the body that the auditor works for or on behalf of, It's then up to them to look at the report, look at the evidence that the auditor looked at during the day, and determine whether there's enough in there to actually certify you. Now, when you do become certified to ISO 27001, you'll get your certificate, and typically you'll have a valid certificate for 3 years. However, to maintain that certificate, you'll have to go through an annual audit process, which means that the auditors come back in, look through everything again, and make sure that you're still meeting the requirements of the standard. So that sounds like quite a lot, and frankly, it is a lot. There's a lot to get through when you're going through ISO 27001. However, the reason companies do that is because it holds a lot of weight, especially globally. So if you're looking at, for example, public sector contracts, if you're looking at working with companies around the world, then ISO 27001 is for you. As mentioned earlier, there's a world of information security certifications out there, and those are just the two main ones. However, what I want you to have a think about if you do want to go down the route of becoming certified to a standard are two things. Firstly, what's your budget? So if as a business you don't have too much in the bank to budget towards actually becoming certified, then maybe think about something that might be that little bit more cost effective for now. And the second thing, which is fairly critical really, especially from a business perspective, is just find out the certifications that are more pertinent to your industry. Find out what customers are asking for, find out what regulators are asking for, find out what insurers are asking for example. And once you know that, you'll then make a better decision, frankly, as to which one to go for, because you know that you're putting money into something that's actually going to make actually going to make a commercial difference to your business. Okay, that's it from me. If you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned in this video, feel free to leave a comment. Please like, please subscribe, because that ensures that people in your position can also benefit from this video.